The Marcia Weekes show. It's the Marcia Weekes show. From Barbados to Africa, voices unite. Educate minds, elevate sight. It's the Marcia Weekes show. It's the Marcia Weekes show. From Barbados to Africa, voices unite. Educate minds, elevate sight. It's the Marcia Weekes show. Talk truth, build roots, stories unfold. Motivate change, mobilize is the mode. That's the MR code. Hey, we growing, we know it.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, boys and girls, and welcome to the Marcia Weekes show. You just heard the national anthem of Barbados, and I'm holding in my hand the national flag of Barbados. And you know, I love when it flows in the wind. Did you all see Sade? Eating up the track just the other day? Go Barbados, go Barbados, go. Oh my goodness, guys, this is a beautiful night. Tonight we are talking about hard questions, real issues. No apology. It's not our intention to offend. We are just asking some hard questions, and we have some serious topics that we're touching tonight. We are asking, who killed PELE? How many of you were around in that time? 48 years ago. Do you realize the anniversary was actually May 16th that he was shot, and PELE actually died on May 17th, which was yesterday. 48 years later, yesterday was really the anniversary of the death. On the 16th is when he was shot. We're going to go into that, look at at politics, the involvement of politics in that. The cover-up involvement, allegedly even the police and possibly the lodge, the cover-ups. Listen, we have to look at that, because that informs how we look at other unsolved murders in Barbados. Then, of course, we have attorney COREY Beckles is going to be on again. We had told you that. And tonight, he's here to talk about the anatomy of a will, what every Barbadian family needs to understand about inheritance, estates, conflict, and protection. So attorney COREY Beckles is on to deal with that tonight. And Dr. Derek Alleyne, he is going to join us for a powerful conversation on the rise of dependency and the crisis of governance. The rise of dependency and the governance and the crisis of governance, examining really the centralization of power, weakening institutions, which we see all around us, don't we? And the growing struggle of ordinary Bajans. All right. So he's going to talk about that. He sent me a paper on it as usual, very brilliantly written. That man is a brilliant man. And before we do all of that, we're going to be talking about, on the radar. We're going to look at the central bank and ZeeMoney and BIMPE, etc. We're going to look at all of those things tonight, right here on the Marcia Weekes show, and make sure we have enough time at the end so that you can call in. We want to hear from you. So that's what's happening. It is my hope that you will like and share. Okay, everybody like and share, please. Hey, Daniel, good night. How are you? You were early, Daniel. Ronald Archer, good night. And Monica Ince, good night. Mavis Lashley, how is Mavis doing? That's wonderful. Flo Joe, Marcia girl, Marcia Miller, Jefferson Sobers, Marva Hunt, Calendar. Listen, all these people I'm calling, are you all coming to the picnic? Who coming to the picnic? Bus ride, picnic, gospel fest, all in one on May 31st. Marva, you'll be there. Bajan boy, you're going to be at the picnic, the bus ride, the picnic. Yes, gospel fest, nice music, all of that is happening. Who coming? Farley Hill. Yes, maybe Lashley. Lori Bob. Lori, you coming? You coming? What you cooking? What you bringing? Hey, Shirley. I know you can't come, Shirley. You're going to miss the picnic, Shirley. You're going to miss it. Teroni, I believe Teroni going to be there on his ears, man. Teroni going to be there. And I know Judy coming too. I'm a big girl coming. Oh, I'm a big girl. Are you coming? Are you bringing the grandchildren? So what we're thinking of doing, Beverly Prescott, good evening. What we're thinking of doing, and we've asked the bus driver, we're waiting for response. We're trying to see if we can get a pickup in Oistins. Okay, we're trying to get a pickup in Oistins, and then from pick up in Oistins, and then Independence Square, and then Whole Town. Okay. So we want to do a pickup in Oistins, in Independence there, and Whole Town. How many of you like that idea? Hey, Jack. Hey, I'm a big girl. You're coming. Aaron Hunt, how are you? Are you coming? Lord, listen, let's fellowship together, no? Chantel, hey, Chantel Williams. Hello. Gospel Fest actually starts, I'm a big girl, May 24th. And it goes all the way until May 31st, okay? May 24th to May 31st. All right? Yes, Shirley, you're gonna miss out. You're in the cold in Canada, Shirley. Well, we're gonna be at Farley Hill, Michael Jilts. Bring the grandchildren. Come, let's pack up the bus and go. Sonia, you're coming, Sonia? Yes. Oh, Marva. Yes, Marva. Marva has her cataract surgery. Pray for her. Yeah, Celia, you're coming? You come in, pack up, man, and come. Mm-hmm. Hey, Joyan, are you coming to Farley Hill as well? Joyan Faith? Yes. Shirley will be there in spirit in the cold in Canada. Shirley, I'm rubbing it in. I'm rubbing it in, Shirley. Hey, Jackie, you coming, Jackie? Jackie, you're always on these excursions. Yes, you have two persons coming. So you got to call me, Mavis. You've got to call me. Cami, have you called me yet? You have not called me yet. Please call me. Call me. Yes, call me, Cami. All right. So you have all the dates here of all the things that are happening. All right. That is happening starting on May 24th. All of these things. Shirley said that Marcia, we're having hot weather, so it's all good. All right, guys. But you know, folks, I'm going to jump in with on the radar as Dave just continued to scroll slowly for them so they can see all the different you know, all that is happening for Gospel Fest. Continue to scroll as we set up the on the radar tonight. I hope you can make it out. Him speak is very, very good, actually. And I'm hoping that you'll be able to attend something in Gospel Fest. But we are, as a group, we are going on the May 31st. We are packing up in that bus and going down the road, y'all. Well, tonight, guys, on the radar, you know, we are going to be talking about money laundering. Anybody out there work in you work in the banking industry? And in the meantime, Dave, if you could put up ZeeMoney on the screen for me. ZeeMoney. This is a company that is coming out of Ghana that operates in Barbados, and the it has been, well, you know, the license has been temporarily revoked or suspended by the central bank, which is quite interesting. And so we want to look at that. A viewer sent it to me last night. As I said, we do crowd investigation. We do crowd investigation right here. It is you guys, you send me information, you give me a hint, I go for it, okay? So on the screen it says, please note that our payout location and services at Doma will be closed the 5th of May until the 4th of June. However, our office remains open for administrative purposes from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Right now, there is another you know, documentation that was sent that tells you why it is closed, and it is closed because of the central bank. Now, the ZeeMoney deals with, Dave, if you could go up on this so you could read some more. ZeeMoney, what it does, it deals with money transfer. So I'm sure a lot of you heard about BIMPay. So it basically does a lot of things that BIMPay would do, okay? Right, I was hoping we would have shown the article, but it has a wallet, virtual wallet, right? It does fast transfers, basically everything that the BIMPay is supposed to do, right? And tools that help merchants to accept payments with clean presentations, etc. You know, and so on. You can use it as a wallet basically, and you can pay, you can transfer, etc., etc. Now, I want you to hold that in your mind, okay? Because and remember what we spoke about last night. Who was on the show last night? How many of you were on the show last night? You know, when you come on here, we're always coming, we're going to bring something new to you. All right. So you were on last night when we were dealing with the 1MD global money laundering scandal. And what we showed you, which is a fact, is that this was happening through a bank that was registered here in Barbados and being regulated by the Central Bank of Barbados. And we asked the question, if the bank is being regulated in Barbados by the central bank, why is it that the central bank did not track, did not, they did not realize that there was something happening? I mean, this is a global thing. This is a global money laundering scandal that is happening, right? And so, right. So the article that I sent to you there, Dave, says the suspension of the license of ZeeMoney, right? That is what is in yeah. Now, it's very, very interesting. So the Central Bank of Barbados, though, they were able to suspend the license of ZeeMoney. Anybody out there have used ZeeMoney? Anybody out there use ZeeMoney? It's been operating in Barbados for 4 years. Isn't it? Don't you? I find it very strange that ZeeMoney, they would have suspended the license of ZeeMoney. They have not said exactly why. The Central Bank of Barbados, this article is saying, advises the public that it has suspended the license of ZeeMoney Barbados Limited, pursuant to Section 50 of the Financial Institution Act. The bank advises the public that during this period, ZeeMoney is prohibited from conducting any money or value transmission service provider business, right? And as I told you, they did a lot of transfers and so on. Nobody used ZeeMoney out there? Interesting. They said that the bank is going to continue to monitor the institution closely during the suspension period and remains committed to maintaining a safe and sound financial system. Okay, very interesting there. Very interesting there. Right? So ZeeMoney, for those of you who somebody's still asking the question, it is how you transfer, how you make payments. So you can pay your bills through ZeeMoney, right? So remember that we showed you that at the beginning. So that's what ZeeMoney says. It's not actual money. It is virtual. I know a lot of the older ones of you can't understand that, because that is what BIMPay is getting ready to do. So it's like a virtual wallet. All right. So once you have that, obviously, I think it's probably like a card that you're going to have, and you can pay your money. You can pay your bills. You can transfer, right? You can buy merchandise. It's a merchant tools. Okay. Okay. So that is basically what it does. All right. So now let's go into, I want us to stretch our minds a little bit. I want us to stretch our minds, and we want to tie the money laundering and acts to construction in Barbados and Barbados' financial reputation. We want to ask some questions there, okay? We want to talk about money laundering, construction, financial oversight, and Barbados' international reputation is what I want to talk about. Because the conversation tonight is bigger, and it should be bigger than one company. Listen to me carefully. Please like and share. It's important. Bigger than one bank. We talked about the one bank yesterday, and we're now talking about another organization here, ZeeMoney, that, they have suspended the license for them. Bigger than one investigation. We're talking about trust in the financial situation here in the financial system, in Barbados. Right? And we're talking about Barbados' international reputation, which I'm wondering if this government is really concerned about. Trust in Barbados' financial system, trust in our institutions, trust in whether the systems designed to protect this country are truly working. Are the financial systems that are designed to protect Barbados really working? We see it work. It seemed to be working with ZeeMoney. We don't know exactly why, but I have a proposition of why ZeeMoney was suspended. The license was suspended. I have a theory. It's a theory. While all of these other big scandals, etc., don't you realize the pattern? We always hear about it from the outside. When we had the vaccine gate, the vaccine scandal, you remember that? Where did we hear about that? We heard about it from outside. And we could go on with so many different things that have been happening in terms of Barbados' reputation and money laundering and etc. Generally, we hear it outside, but ZeeMoney was suspended right here in Barbados. And the central bank went ahead and put out a note about it. Interesting. Barbados has also always, as I said last time, promoted itself as having strong anti-money laundering laws. That's my understanding. Because when you check on the internet, we're telling the world that we are compliant. We tell the world we are compliant to all of the anti-money laundering laws. Okay, we say our banking system is regulated. We say our financial oversight mechanisms, we say that they're modern. That's what we say. It's something we really pride ourselves on in Barbados. We say our due diligence systems are strong, and that we meet all the international standards as it relates to anti-money laundering or money laundering, right? But I mean, the truth of it is that when I looked on the paper, when I looked at what you found online, it does have, Barbados does have extensive anti-money laundering legislation. Okay, for example, the banks are required to know their customers. Suspicious transactions are supposed to be reported. So the regulations and the systems are in place, okay? So yes, Barbados presents itself internationally as a very, very serious financial jurisdiction. That's what I found today as I was researching, and what I always know. But based on what we talked about last night, this one of the biggest money laundering scandal in the history of the world, Barbados is caught up in it. We have to ask ourselves the question, how strong are these systems in practice? Is it just on paper? Earlier, when I started, I said that the Central Bank of Barbados, I talked about how they move quickly, and decisively against ZeeMoney Barbados Limited, suspending its license because they have concerns over governance, operational continuity, financial condition, and regulatory compliance. But the big question that I am asking, what happened to that Malaysia scandal, the money laundering scandal that was going on for years? How did that, Mr. Central Bank Governor and Central Bank, how did that miss you? I want Barbadians to think, Tonight we said we're asking the hard questions, serious questions, no apologies. Now we have to be clear that there are no criminal allegations have been made against ZeeMoney, unlike what's been made against the company that we spoke about last night. But what stood out was the speed and the visibility of the intervention. The speed and the visibility of the intervention. I'm getting somewhere with that. And almost at the same time, Barbados found itself linked to an international money laundering investigation involving a bank regulated under the Barbados' own financial framework. And the question becomes, who exposed it? Because as we showed you last night, from what emerged publicly, the exposure did not appear to begin in Barbados. It came from outside investigations, outside authorities, outside reporting. And so that raises a very, I consider it an uncomfortable question. And those in authority that are listening, I think you really need to ask some questions too. If Barbados anti-money laundering systems are as strong as we say they are, then why are major concerns appearing to emerge externally before the public hears anything internally? Did the local regulators detect the problems independently? Central Bank of Barbados. Were investigations already underway quietly? Were suspicious activities flagged locally? Central Bank? Or is it that we are reacting to international agencies because they are now moving and we are reacting? I think these are fair questions. Now, I want to connect this money laundering to the discussion about this development that is happening in Barbados. I want to ask some questions. I need to say, are they connected? Real estate, we see a lot of hotels and luxury developments, large-scale projects are being, all over Barbados. Some of these places we've seen, in fact, they had hotels here that, the rooms were empty. Did you know that globally, one of the most common ways that money is cleaned, illegal money, illicit money is cleaned, is through construction and property development? Did you know that that's the number one way? Barbados, listen to what I'm telling you. Think about it. One of the most common ways is for illicit money to be cleaned, to be washed, is through construction and property development. Now, we didn't start the conversation about money laundering. That is something that came from overseas and telling us that there's a bank here in Barbados that is regulated by the central bank that is being investigated for money laundering, millions of dollars here in Barbados and internationally, billions. In fact, they said in the modern history, it is one of the largest scandals, money laundering scandals in modern history. So we have to ask the question. I wonder, do you wonder? Is there any connection with the construction that is happening and the large-scale projects and all these luxury developments? Nobody's telling us anything, So we have to ask the question. We're left to join the dots. Sometimes we might be wrong. Sometimes we might be right. But we're asking. And why those involved in washing money, laundering money would use construction? Because construction is able to absorb enormous amounts of money quickly. Land purchases, hotel projects, luxury villas, apartment complexes, consultant contracts, all of these shell companies. Remember, that is one of the things we talked about last night. With this, the Malaysia scandal, offshore ownership structures, all of that. And I'm gonna just take another 5 minutes of our attorney's time just to complete this. So I'm gonna be with you in 5 minutes, Mr. Corey, and last name, because I'm thinking of every last name for Corey, and it's Beckles, attorney Corey Beckles. Yeah, just give me literally 5 minutes. Let me just finish and then go ahead and introduce you. This doesn't mean that every construction project is corrupt. It doesn't mean every developer is laundering money. It doesn't mean every foreign investor is suspicious. That's not what I'm saying. But globally, investigators repeatedly, I found identify construction and luxury real estate as vulnerable. Those are vulnerable sectors because, as I said earlier, the huge sums of money move with limited public scrutiny. Dubai luxury property market. I mean, you know, there's a whole article talking about the dirty money that was spent in Dubai to build up Dubai. And we were told by one of the developers that the Pierhead project will be Dubai on steroids. Right? The Dubai luxury property market was a place where politically exposed persons, sanctioned individuals, organized crime figures, and questionable wealthy people were involved in luxury towers, building beachfront villas, high-end apartments, hotel developments. I'm not saying the entire sector, but there is enough of it happening that if you check, all you've got to do is do your research and you will see. Internationally, the Dubai example became one of the clearest examples of how luxury development and construction can become vulnerable to dirty money flows. And we're going to come back to this because of time, but I want to go into that because I want to also go into Antigua, just across there. What happened with, is it Stanford, Sanford, right over there. We're going to go to that, but time is against me tonight. But I think that we need to look into that. And I want to say, for the last 2 minutes that I have, I want to say to everybody that my belief on exactly why ZeeMoney was suspended, it is so that BIMPE, the government's BIMPE can survive. And I don't have enough time to link them, but I'm going somewhere with that. All right. BIMPE is coming around the corner in another, I think it's 2 weeks. I think it's 2 weeks. There is a connection there. And look, research. I want you to help me to research, guys. Help me to research this whole money laundering thing that is hanging over, seem to want to hang over Barbados. And let's try to see, is there any connection with what's happening, all of this development that is happening? Let us crowd investigate it, all right? And we're going to get into BIMPE. We're going to do that a little later in the week. But Mr. Beckles is here, and I did say 5 minutes, and it's 7:34, so I use up 4 minutes. We're going to jump right in now. Good night, Attorney Beckles. How are you? You are muted.
Good night. Yes, I think I am on now. Good night. I am doing well. What about you?
I am doing fantastic. It's a pleasure to have you on the show tonight. And tonight you are doing a lot of education because these are topics. Unfortunately, I didn't get all the topics that people wanted. Sometimes it's very difficult for me. I mean, the questions.
Right.
That
yes.
to get the questions, honestly, I didn't get the questions last time. I'm going to try to capture as much as I can tonight, though.
No
But
problem.
a lot of people are asking about wills and so on, and you are doing the anatomy of a will, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
I'm just going to give you the platform because I know nothing about this area, and I'm just going to be learning. So over to you, Attorney Beckles.
All right. Thank you. Right. So good night again. I'm going to be looking at the anatomy of a valid will. The anatomy of a valid will. Now, wills are one of the most important and one of the most powerful documents that an individual can ever sign or put their name to. And certain persons are familiar with wills, but there is, I'm just going to go through what a valid will would look like. Now, the laws concerning wills in Barbados are governed by the Succession Act. And the Succession Act states that in order for a will to be valid, the person who's making a will must be 18 years old or older. And we know 18-year-old considered an adult in Barbados. So you must be an adult to be able to make a valid will. And a will also will have within it, you will have your introduction, and certain persons are familiar with the term, this is my last will and testament. And a person will normally put their full name. You will put your full name, you will put your address, and you would declare, you call it the declaration. You would declare that this is my last will and testament. And you will also make a declaration that you are revoking or making void all previous wills. That is another part of the will that you will find. In most wills, you'll make a declaration that any previous wills are no longer valid. Now we come to a very important part, which is the executor. Who are you going to name as your executor? And your executor must be an adult. And the executor is the person who is going to make sure, after that unfortunate event, they're going to make sure that your will is probated. They're going to make sure that the beneficiaries in the will receive what belongs to them according to the will. So appointing your executor in your will is one of the most important parts, one of the most important things you can ever do when you are preparing, you're designing your will. And I always tell individuals, sit down. Before you even go to an attorney, sit down and decide what you want to do as it relates to your estate. Make a list of all your assets. Make a list of all the things that you own, basically. Make a list of all the things that you hope to own. Because when you're making your will, you're still alive. And life continues. So even after you make your will, life still continues. And as long as life continues, you are able to obtain even more assets. So not only do you write down what you currently own, but you also think about what you believe you will obtain in the near future. And you also write those things down when you are thinking about preparing your will. You also think about writing down, and you should write down, who you want to benefit from your assets. And that's who we refer to as the beneficiaries. So you make a list of your beneficiaries. So you make a list of the assets, you make a list of your beneficiaries. And as you are preparing your will, the will contain not only the assets, the will contain who you are giving these assets to. And when you are making your will, this is important, make sure that you not only name the beneficiaries, make sure that you are able to identify. Make sure you identify who your beneficiaries are. Now you may say, I gave my house to my son. But you may have more than one son. At the time when you expire, at the time when you leave this world, you may have two children. When you made your will, you only had one. You had one son. When you left this world, you had two sons. Now, the person who is probating your will, the executor, or even the attorney who is over the probate of the estate, they have to determine which son you are referring to. That is why it's very important that you identify your beneficiaries. Identify them by their full name and address. If there are nicknames that you refer to them as, put that within, make sure that that is stated within the will. Because whoever is responsible, the executor, whoever is responsible for making sure that the beneficiaries receive what they're supposed to receive, must be able to identify who the beneficiaries are. So we have the assets, we have the beneficiaries, and we also have, I'm just going to go in quickly to some of the assets. I spoke about a house in the example I gave just now. But you also have other forms of property. You have land. A person may want to give their house and land. A person may have just an interest in a house. Because in Barbados, like any other Caribbean islands, we also rent land. So there are persons who may have, who may own a house, but they don't necessarily own the land on which the house is on. So you can give your interest in the house itself. You may not own the land, but you can give your interest in that house to your beneficiary. So we have a house, we have land, that is a real estate. You have house and land as a real estate, which will form part of your assets. Then we also have some assets like money. We are familiar with cash. We're familiar with bank accounts. So we have funds within our bank accounts. We also have insurance policies, and you can give the proceeds of an insurance policy, you can give to your beneficiaries. But as it relates to insurance now, when you go and get your insurance, when you go to the insurance company and you take out your life insurance policy, you can already determine who you want to benefit from that insurance policy. So you can name an individual, as people are aware, you can name an individual as your beneficiary when you are applying for that insurance policy. And you can also put that person, when you are making your will, you can also state within the will that my insurance policy at a particular insurance company goes to my named beneficiary. You do not necessarily have to put it within the will, but I would still prefer, if you have an insurance policy that already has a named beneficiary, and you're doing your will, I will still advise you to make sure that it will reflect what is stated in that insurance policy. Right, so we have the assets, we have the insurance policies, we have the other tangible kinds of property, which is we have watches, cars, anything, items that are movable. These are things that you can put within your will. So when we go down the line, we have the declaration. This is my last will and testament. We have the fact that you're revoking previous wills. You have named your executor. You have listed your assets. And you're also stating where your assets are going to go. So the assets must correspond to a beneficiary. If you do not name an asset inside of your will, if you do not name the beneficiary that you want it to go to, there is a particular clause within the will. And we call this clause the residuary clause, or the remainder clause. And this clause is a catch-all clause. So if there is something in your will that you forgot to add, forgot to mention, this clause states that all of your estate, not mentioned specifically in the will go to a particular individual. So just in case you did not specifically state an asset and specifically state who you're going to give this asset to within the body of the will, this residuary clause will capture any other assets that you did not mention. And within that clause, you're going to state, I give whatever else I own, wherever it may be found, I'm going to give this to a particular individual. And then after the residuary clause, we go to the part where the testator, and the testator is the individual, the male, the male who is making their will. The female who is making their will is referred to as the testatrix. So after all of the clauses, after all the declarations, it now comes down to the point where the testator or the testatrix must sign their will. And you must sign your will. In order for the will to be valid, you must sign your will in front of two witnesses. So you sign your will in front of two people who are there. And those two individuals, those two witnesses must be able to verify that they were there when they saw you sign your will. And not only were they there to see you sign your will, they also, the testator themselves, also saw them also sign. So the witnesses must also sign the will. So we have three individuals who are signing this will. We have the testator or testatrix, the person who has made the will, and we also have the two witnesses. And everyone should be in the same room, in the same place, at the same time. The testatrix, testator, and the two witnesses must be in the same place, same time. They must be in the same room, and they must see each other sign the will. And that really, in a nutshell, is a valid will according to the laws of Barbados. And as you look through any will, that you go to an attorney at law, and the attorney at law prepares the will should look a particular way. And it should have a particular list of clauses within it. But one of the most important clauses that I want persons to take away from my presentation, you have the clause where you are naming your executor, either your executor or executors. You can have 4 executors, up to 4 persons you can name as your executors. So you must name your executors, and you must also identify not only your assets, identify your beneficiaries. If you are given the proceeds or the funds in your bank account at Scotiabank, and you know that you have 2 bank accounts at Scotiabank, please identify each bank account. Put the bank account number. Put the number. You can even put the branch. So the long and short of it is that you must be able, any person who is responsible for probating, responsible for distributing your assets, must be able to know where to find your assets, and they must know who to give the assets to, according to the will. And identification and putting clear instructions within the will itself is one of the most important parts in a will. So that is why I say that you should sit down, even before you go to an attorney. Sit down. Make sure you are aware of everything that you own, everything that you will own in the near future, and who exactly you want to give your assets to, so that you can speak to your attorney and tell your attorney exactly what you want. Because you must give the attorney instructions. Yeah, so I see the comment, everything must be identifiable. Yes, you must identify everything. We can't leave things to chance.
To chance, yes. Very well said. Somebody said, I hope people taking notes. This is a free class. Well, I was taking notes. I've never really discussed anything about this before. So this is I must say it's a free class for me. I'm here literally taking notes, and I know Dave probably taking notes as well. But somebody had a question, Attorney Beckles. It says the question is a trust more powerful than a will?
A trust has power. If I'm going to compare the trust to a will, I would say the will is, I would call the will slightly more powerful than a trust, because you can create a trust with your will. A will, you can use your will to create a trust.
Okay, I understand.
So even if I had to make a comparison, I would say the will is even more powerful than a trust.
Than the trust.
Because you can create a trust with your will. You can appoint persons over your children. So you can appoint guardians for your children in a will. You can do a lot with that document called a will.
Yes.
And you're not necessarily here. But your will speaks after you. Even after you are no longer in this world, your will still has force, it still has power, and it still carries authority.
Yes, yes. Esther Reed is asking, what about a parent who has two children and one house that has a bottom flat, but want both of them to have a share of the house? What shall she do?
Right. So I am assuming that the house has a top and bottom,
Yes.
and you can give if you want to give. Well, you have two children, so you can give the top to one and the bottom to the other. And what you will basically state in the will is that you are giving the property to both children as tenants in common. Tenants in common mean each of them have a separate portion, a separate interest in the property itself. And that separates the top from the bottom. Now the top, there's some houses where the top you may get more square footage at the top. Or there are other houses that are positioned in such a way where the bottom is bigger than the top. In those circumstances, again, I go back to my first point. You must always be clear.
Yes.
The will must be clear. So if the top is bigger, or the top has, let's say, 300 square feet, the bottom is 250 square feet, put that within the will. Put it within the will. I'm giving the bottom portion of my house to my son, which is identified as 250 square feet. I'm giving the top portion to my daughter, which is identified as 300 square feet. Do not leave anything to chance. And there may even be times where you make your will, but even before you leave this world, you add on. You add on to the house. So again, you still must make room for eventualities. And that leads me to another point, because you can make as many wills as you want. Before you leave this world, you can make as many. You can change your will.
Change. Okay. You can change
your will.
I got you.
But I know what you were. I saw your face, Marcia.
Yeah.
You can still have more than one will. So you can die having more than one will that can be admitted to probate. So you can actually admit two wills to probate. But it is very technical, because two of those wills must be different. Remember I said that one of the clauses in your will is that you revoke any other wills.
Yes.
But sometimes a person may not put that clause within one of their wills. It means when that particular will goes to probate, if there's any other wills that are in the probate registry there for safekeeping, it is possible for both of those wills to be probated, because the person never said in their last will that they're going to revoke former wills.
Former will. Wow, that's
why I said it's important. It's very important. If you don't want your previous wills to have any power, to have any force, make sure you do not leave out that clause that says, I hereby revoke all former wills.
Excellent. Somebody's asking, what is the difference between an estate and property?
All right. So estate refers to all of your assets, everything that you have an interest in, everything that you will have an interest in. So property or the estate consists of property, and the estate consists of all different kinds of property. I refer to tangible property, which is real estate, things you can touch, cars and jewelry, anything that you can touch. Then you have intangible property, which is your bank accounts, your insurance. Well, you can touch cash, but as long as it is in the bank, as long as it is a bank account, you'll still refer to it as an intangible.
Tangible. I got you.
Right. You have the insurance policies that are intangible. Anything whatsoever that you are entitled to is part of your estate.
Yes. Somebody is asking, and time is going, but I want to get in this question. Africa Bridge is asking, what if a beneficiary passes away before the will is probated?
Right. So in those circumstances, the beneficiaries let me say children, may be able to benefit. Even though the beneficiary passes, there are circumstances where the children of that beneficiary can also benefit. Now, and that leads me to a very important point. You can tailor your will in such a way that you can prepare for those eventualities. So let's say I'm giving my car. I'm giving my car to my niece. But sometimes life happens, and you never know, the niece may not be there. When it's time to probate my will, the niece may not be there. So I will state in my will, I'm giving my car. I remember, you have to be specific. I'm giving my make and model car to my niece. After I say that, in the event, so the next line, in the event that my niece predeceases me, in the event that my niece dies before I die, I want my car to go to this other person. Then I have had persons who also, they're not only preparing for one eventuality, they're preparing for 2 and 3. So they basically go down the line and say, well, if this person is not there, then it goes to this. If this other person is not there, then it goes to the other person.
Yeah, be specific. What I'm getting from you is be specific. Okay, somebody's asking here. I don't know the correct. Are they talking about a deed of gift or a deal of gift? What about a deed of gift? That if they're asking if it's not more powerful, I don't know the terminology.
Deed of gift is separate from deed. Yeah, the deed.
Right. I thought.
Yeah, deed of gift is separate from a will. So there's 2 different documents. A deed of gift transfers property while everyone is still alive. So as soon as the owner transfers their property to another individual through a deed of gift, that property is transferred right there and then. The will only speaks after the death of the testator or the testatrix. The deed of gift is something that we call an inter vivos. Any transfer through a deed of gift is called an inter vivos gift. The will now only speaks after death. So there's 2 separate documents.
Wow.
That's the way you compare them, because they're 2 separate documents that speak to 2 different contexts.
Yes,
and circumstances.
That's right. Good. There's a question. The question's coming fast and furious, and we only have 4 more minutes. What is probate? Can you explain that to me?
Right. So probate is a process whereby a will is given the authority. A will is given the authority. So we know a will is already powerful. But in order for the will, the instructions or the desires of the testator or testatrix that are contained in that will, in order for the court, for the law to recognize that will, so that you're now able to transfer assets from the estate to beneficiaries, the will must go through the process of probate. And that process now is where the court verifies that the will is valid, first thing. And they verify that the will is valid because we have witnesses. So as long as the witnesses are alive, we have persons who can attest to the fact that they saw the testator or the testatrix sign their will. And they can attest to the fact that they saw them sign the will on a particular day in a particular place. So the probate process allows the will to go through a legal verification process. And at the end of that process, the executor now has the legal authority to distribute the assets in accordance with the will.
Right. So that's the probate. So somebody asking can the probate take up to 30 years?
30 years. If you're talking about the probate process, let me put it this way. I have never heard about a probate process taking 30 years, but I can't say it is impossible.
Wow.
I can't tell you that it is impossible, because you may have situations where the probate process was started,
Mm-hmm.
and it was started at some point in time, but somewhere along the line it stopped. Whoever was responsible for making sure that the probate process continued until completion, something probably interrupted that. And maybe the application itself was in the probate registry sitting down for
Mm-hmm.
years and years and years until a beneficiary or a beneficiary's beneficiary recognized that they are entitled, or their family member was entitled under this will, and now they're now trying now to restart the probate process.
Yes. Let's see if we can sneak in one more question or two more. Marcia asked the lawyer, what is the biggest mistake with the will? I think I know what it is, but listen to you. But you answer. Go right ahead.
Yeah, the biggest mistake is not being specific, not being clear. And really and truly, there are many mistakes. There are many mistakes that persons make with wills. Another mistake in our Caribbean context is putting something in a will that you do not own, referring to something in a will that you do not own. You may believe you own it, but you do not have the legal documents. At the time when you're making the will, you may have possession of the property, you may have possession of the house, but you have no documents to prove that you are the legal owner of this property. And to really think about it, that's really one of the biggest mistakes I find in wills, because people distribute in their will something that they never had the authority to distribute.
Somebody is asking about the power of attorney, but I think they're talking about in the context of a will.
Right.
Can you do that before you pass? But isn't that like the executor?
Right. Yes. So in the context of a will, the main person who represents the estate in a will is the executor. The power of attorney is a separate document altogether. A person can't use a power of attorney. Well, let me put it this way: the only individual that can really grant power of attorney after the testator has died is really the executor.
Right. No,
So the
yes.
executor can grant power of attorney to someone to
Mm-hmm.
make the application to probate the will. So there has to be somebody with authority who can give the power of attorney. Right? So I'm hoping it's clear. My explanation is clear.
Yes, it makes sense coming from last week. Listen, these times it just feels so short.
Yeah, it's very short. Yeah,
But
we're already over
I
time.
know we will have to see if we need to lengthen it. Just up to you, because can you please help me? Either can you keep your questions for next week? Goodness, they are just coming in, flooding in. Can somebody help me to get this? These questions, please. People said they're loving the show. That people are saying you're very clear, very good teacher. Thank you so much, Mr. Beckles, Attorney
Yeah, it
Beckles.
was a pleasure. It was a pleasure.
I know this is rolling off the tip of your tongue because this is what you do.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
but you've
Been
come
doing it
on
for a while.
just to do it as a service to the show, for the education aspect of this show, and lots of people are being educated. And I want to thank you. I wish you all the best in your practice, in all that you do. Thank you so much once again. Another amazing night. Oh my goodness.
Thank you very
Yes,
much. Thank you for
please send
having
our
me.
regards
And
to
have a good
Anthony.
night. Have a good night,
Yes.
everyone.
Send our regards to Anthony. When you can, come send Anthony, but make sure we have somebody on the show, okay? Dealing with this.
Yes, correct. I will do that. Have
Yes,
a
God
good night.
bless you. Thank you. Thank you,
All
Corey.
right. Bye.
God bless. Yes. Wow, wasn't that amazing, guys? And I know he can't do a long time, because very informative. It was a great presentation. Yes, information. Yes, I'm a big girl. I'm sorry. I didn't get to answer. We didn't get to answer all of your questions. All right. Really, really sorry about that. But okay. Well, tonight, guys, we are moving. Listen, we're going a mile a minute now. Listen, this is cool. Did you like and share? We're going into now the parts that you like. Although you did like this part as well. But listen, Dr. Alleyne is getting ready to come in. I see he's there. He's going to join us at 8:30. And we're getting his technicals all sorted out for him. But we are going to go on for the next 30 minutes. Ooh, I only have 24 minutes now. We're going to start this thing on who killed some people say PELE, and some people say PELE, right? Right? And this evening, when I was preparing this little old song came in my in my mind, and it is this. Anybody knows this? And I started to sing it as I was preparing. I ran to the room back of the house. I said, Dave, do you know this song? Because I know it as a Jamaican song. Somebody said PELE. It's called PELE. I'm told PELE, but forgive me if I go back and forth, okay? Sometimes my pronunciation might be a little different. PELE. All right. How many of you remember that case? How many of you remember PELE? Anybody was alive? Some of you were students at the time, little children. How many of you remember anything? I do, JC. Don't be so scared. Pauline Holder said she remembered. Monica remembered. Yeah. Well, before we go into it, there was a song that was done by Sir Don about the PELE case. And from the LP album Lovely Barbados, and we're going to listen to some of that song. So go right ahead, Dave, and take us down memory lane with this. All right.
Calypsonian too. Why me? It's all the dirty work I must do. So if you want my extradited, don't get me involved. Next thing you know, I am indicted. That's for the law to solve. My fruits hang low, so it's me you begging to sing a song. I want you know, if you think you could lock me up, you're wrong.
Not me and the PELE case, Mosey.
I know who is whose statement falls from truth, and how them police do their duty. The whole thing seems to me like some mystery movie. Receive and see, BCTV.
Not me and the PELE case, Mosey.
The girl claimed she went with PELE to look at land in Lover's Lane and was attacked and robbed by some man. Yes, but if you think that she know who built me, that's British own. I don't see why that should interest me. Tell Dennis Malone I have no luck and my name is the easiest to call. So it can't work. I ain't meddling in that at all.
Not me and the PELE case, Mosey.
Some aided and abet, some ain't get charged as yet, and some try to sidestep the questions. All them inconsistencies and faulty memories is too much controversy for me.
Not me and the PELE case, Mosey.
All right. Oh wow, I tell you, Sir Don, God rest his soul, a wonderful Calypsonian. And we had the pleasure of working with Sir Don in the experience tent. And it's so wonderful just to hear his voice again. And he's taking us down memory lane. And so what we have to understand is that a lot of people you didn't realize that May 16th was actually the anniversary of when Pele, when he got shot. And he actually died on May 17th. So yesterday was the actual anniversary of his death. Is actually, 48 years. 48 years later, we are still asking this questions. We are going back 48 years. Sometimes we have to go back in order to come forward, to move forward. 40 years ago, a single gunshot, a single night, a single murder, a single mystery, right here in this very small island. And I said to somebody today, it's like a 2x4, a 2x4 island, but a small island, punching, as they say, above its weight. Barbados is doing so many great things, even though it's a small island. But I use the term that it's a very small island, because when you think of a case like the PELE case, 48 years later, and with all that was involved, and it is still unsolved. Many questions that to this day has never truly left this country. It's a mystery. So we're asking the question that Barbados has whispered for nearly half a century, 48 years. Who killed Pele? And more importantly tonight, what did PELE case reveal about power in Barbados, about policing? What did the PELE case reveal about silence and about Barbados itself? This was never just about a murder case, no. The death of Victor PELE Paris, his real name was Victor Paris. Victor PELE Paris became one of the most controversial criminal investigations in Barbadian history. Do you agree? Do you agree or disagree with that statement? This investigation, criminal investigation, from what I learned, triggered commissions of inquiry. It inspired calypsos, like we just heard. It shook, at the time it was called the Royal Barbados Police Force, okay? It shook the Royal Barbados Police Force, and now 48 years later, no one has been convicted. No final answer. No closure. There has been no justice. No justice. And Barbados still remembers, and that blood was shed, and there has been no justice for what occurred. No justice to his family. But now let us go back. It was May 16, 1978, Atlantic shores, nightfall. Imagine with me, just after 8 p.m. Pele Paris is sitting in a parked car with his girlfriend. Who remember the name of the girlfriend? Let me see. Write the name of the girlfriend in the comment section if you remembered. Anybody remember the name of the girlfriend? Hyacinth. Good. Hyacinth Goring. Anybody out there went to school with Hyacinth? Is there anybody who, if you went to school with Hyacinth, you were neighbors of Hyacinth, I would like to speak with you. Hyacinth Goring. because I tried to find out more about her. I want to know more about her. Then suddenly, so he was in a parked car with his girlfriend, Hyacinth Gore. Then suddenly, a gunshot explodes through the night. One shot, just one. And 2 hours later, PELE is dead. Now, that should have been the beginning of a straightforward murder investigation, don't you think? Instead, it became chaos. Almost immediately, questions started appearing. Contradictions started appearing. And this is Barbados, a small society. Rumors started to spread. And Barbados quickly realized that something about this case was not adding up. You know, something about this, something here doesn't sound right. Now, according to the original account given publicly, Hyacinth Goring, the girlfriend, reportedly told investigators that an unknown attacker approached the vehicle. The story was that this attacker attempted to sexually assault her, and when PELE intervened, he was shot. That was her original version. But then problems started emerging, right? The investigators reportedly found inconsistencies. Witnesses gave conflicting information. Questions reportedly arose about the clothing, right? Remember that, about the timelines, about the statements, and about whether evidence had been properly handled. And then suddenly the public began asking, what really happened in that car? Because, you know, the truth is, deep down in our gut, we know when something is off. We know, you know. Who was telling the truth? And was Barbados being told the full story? Now, we want to definitely be separating fact from rumor. Because over time, this case became surrounded by folklore. And in Barbados, you know how we are, right? A whisper becomes a story. A story becomes a fact. And then over 48 years, people cannot even separate what was proven from what was merely alleged. So what we want to do tonight, we want to deal with the documented facts, not the gossip, not the fiction, but the facts. One of the documented realities is this, and this is documented. Public confidence in the investigation became so damaged that authorities established a commission of inquiry. How many of you remembered that? Anybody remembered who chaired the commission of inquiry for this case? Not just an inquiry, no. They brought in outside investigators. Wow, at that time, that must have been a big issue. That must have been a real big outcry in this country. They brought in outside investigators. Will they ever do that in this day and age? That tells you how serious this became. The commission was chaired by Sir Dennis Malone. Am I pronouncing that correct? Malone. And alongside him were investigators connected to even Scotland Yard. I found out, I was like, whoa, this was big. And the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. That was major. Think about that carefully, Barbados. This was not treated like some ordinary local case anymore, you know. This had become a national credibility crisis because there were issues with even the police, the police procedures. People were questioning it. Because one thing I found out was that the daughter, that Hyacinth Goring, based on what I found online, that her father was a police. So people were really not trusting what the police were saying. Now, according to public records that came from the commission, I will read some of the findings now. The inquiry reportedly found serious problems in the handling of the evidence. Let me repeat that. Problems with evidence handling. Questions about witness statements. Questions about suppression of information. We're talking about 40 years ago. Questions about police procedures. And this is where the case exploded, it seemed, into something that was bigger than murder, because once citizens begin believing that the evidence can disappear, or statements can be manipulated, or investigations can be influenced, then the people who are trusting these institutions, the trust collapses, right? Society becomes dangerous because the trust in those institutions, like the police force, the government, once that collapses, becomes dangerous. Now, the commission reportedly concluded that the original unknown attacker version of events was not believable. That is, the commission, the independent commission, they found that. And that was one of the most explosive findings. And from there, public speculation intensified. You know how it goes. Because if the original story was not true, then people are asking, then what was true? Who fired the gun? You mean to tell me today, up to today, we don't know who was present, who knew what, and why? Why did the truth seem buried beneath all of that contradiction? Layers and layers of contradiction. Rumors. After the commission of inquiry gave that bombshell report, the rumors came. Rumors that there were powerful connections. I read a report that the people believe they saw a politician's car. Rumors involving influential people, involving police relationships. I know that it is documented that the Hyacinth Goring's father was a police. Can you imagine the witness then? The commission of inquiry is saying the witness told a lie. Right? Rumors involving politics. Now, there's never been a court conviction proving anything. Nobody knows for sure were there politicians that were linked to the actual killing. Nobody knows. But the fact that those rumors survived nearly 50 years tell you something important. It tells you that the public, the Barbadian public, never fully trusted the explanation they received. And because there were some people who believed they witnessed a certain politician car there. And from what I'm hearing, there's one of them politicians still alive to this day. Not in politics anymore, but the family involved in politics to this day. In Barbados. But it could just have been a rumor with no truth behind it. I don't know. The public never fully trusted the explanation they received. And truthfully, that may be the greatest tragedy of this case, because that lingering distrust is still there. The case did not merely expose a possible killer. it exposed something deeper. Fear, influence, distrust, silence, and a Barbados that many people did not want to believe existed. A Barbados where ordinary people began asking, can power really interfere with justice? Ordinary people began to ask that. Can power interfere with justice? And I believe 50 years, almost 50 years later, 48 years, I don't think people are asking that. People believe that now. Can status protect people? Can investigations be manipulated? Can truth be buried? And the truth of the matter is those are dangerous questions for any society, any country, especially a small one. And what happened afterwards? Well, Hyacinth Goring reportedly later left Barbados and went overseas. Think of it, a witness that the commission, the external international commission, said that witness lied, and the witness was able to leave Barbados and went overseas. The commission reportedly even traveled to New York to hear evidence from her. And after all of that, after all the investigation, after all the headlines, after all the national attention, no conviction still, no final answer still no justice. Who killed PELE? And this is why the PELE case still matters today, because some murders die with time. But you see, this one, it never did. It never did. Since I've been here, people have been telling me about this PELE case. This one never died with time. Why? Because Barbados never got emotional closure. Could that be it? I thought of that when I was reading on the case. The public never felt satisfied. There were too many unanswered questions, too many contradictions, too many whispers, too many shadows. And because the society felt that truth was never fully uncovered or revealed, then the story just never dies. But what does the PELE case teach us today in 2026? Write in the comment section for me. What do you think as we close this segment? What does the PELE case teach us today in 2026? It teaches us something uncomfortable. It teaches us, but go ahead, you write your own thing. But what I found today, and I want to discuss that with you. It teaches us that institutions are only as strong as public trust. When citizens start to believe that investigations are selective, or their influence or that the investigations are influencing one way or the other, then that's where the public trust goes out. When people, Bajans, start to believe that people are untouchable, when we start to believe that there's some people that are untouchable, then it clearly tells us that our democracy is weakened. And we have seen that justice is not just about the courts, it's about confidence in the system, that the truth matters, you know, confidence that evidence matters. And that's why I brought up last night the Thunder Bay killings, executions. Those were clear-cut executions where the commissioner of police says, We know who did it, and we, up until right now, in the public sphere, we have not heard any arrest about it, about who. We have not hear any arrests about who killed those who killed those people. But the commissioner says, we know who you are. In fact, I have not. I needed to check on that before I come on, but I have not came on tonight. I've not heard the commissioner in a little bit. When we lose confidence that ordinary people matter equally before the law, you see, once that confidence breaks, what's going to happen? We have cynicism across generations, because one generation, grandma going to tell daughter about the PELE case, daughter tell the granddaughter about the PELE case, and it goes on. So the cynicism goes across generations. And perhaps that is why we still talk about PELE today. That, you know, people remember the feeling that something about the case was never sat right with them, you know, and then there was a cultural impact. So you have the calypsos, the folklores, and so on, right? And just one more minute, Dr. Alleyne, before we're running, the whole show is running about 5 minutes late. But tonight, I want Barbados in the next 2 minutes to think about something else. What happens to a country when major unanswered cases accumulate over decades? Do you know how many unsolved murders are in Barbados? Murder cases are here? Quite a number. What happened when citizens stop expecting answers? What happens when people believe that some truths never come out? That is dangerous. There are people who believe that the police and the lodge, yes, the lodge, and I'm calling the lodge name tonight. The police, the lodge, the politicians who are into the lodge, police in the lodge, and they protect. There's a protection that happens there. Is that true? Is the lodge involved in all of this? The police, the lodge, the politicians, and that is dangerous, very dangerous, because people will stop trusting the systems altogether when they believe that some truths will never come out. We're going to see the social fabric begin to tear apart. Yeah. 48 years later, Barbados still does not officially know who killed PELE Paris. That is a fact. And for many citizens, that unresolved truth still haunts this country. And again, I say, that is why I asked the question, what really happened to Dave Thorne? What happened to him? As we remember May 16, 1978, as we remember Atlantic Shores, as we remember the shot that changed Barbadian history, perhaps the question is not only who killed PELE, but what does the PELE case reveal about Barbados? Do you understand what I'm saying? It's really the question, who killed PELE, or what the case says about us as a people. What did the PELE case reveal about Barbados? That Barbados, to this day, still struggles to confront issues. And until we answer that question honestly, maybe the mystery will never truly die. Maybe. And that's why I ask these questions on this show. Yes. And the churches. I should have said the churches, because some of the lodge is connected to the churches. Lodge, police, politicians. You focus a lot on the organized crime and the people out there. But a lot of the hide up and the injustice happens along there where the cases get stuck. Cover up. And we're seeing, sorry, I can't get through all of these times. They're so short. It's so short, but we're going to hope to have some time at the end, because this is something that we need to look into this. Yeah. Let me just get Dr. Alleyne in, and I'm going to give him back his time, as I always do. Dr. Alleyne, welcome to the Marcia Weekes Show. It's such a pleasure to have you tonight, sir.
Good evening, Marcia, and once again, let me thank you for having me on. I hope we can have a wonderful show. I've been listening for some while, and I am taken back to the 1980s when I was an active community worker.
Yes, sir.
And one of the areas that I was responsible for was the point where that young man, PELE, used to live.
Uh-huh.
And I knew him personally. And,
you did?
Yes. And I had a very good friend who was now a lawyer in Miami, who was also one of his better friends. And that matter became personal for me.
Mm.
You know, you get it out of your mind, and then every now and then it floats back in. Only
Yes.
on Thursday, a ex-police friend of mine, we were talking about it, and we were saying, you know, these things they go out of your thoughts, but when similar events take place, you begin to internalize what went wrong and why no justice seemed to have ever come, and any solutions found to that episode in Barbados's history.
Yes, sir.
You know, some people don't want you to raise it, and they would prefer just to stay dead. But sometimes these circumstances invite explorations into what went wrong and why justice was never served. It's something that all of us who live through that area have always had at the back of our heads as not an unsolved murder, but an unsolved mystery. It's not only about the actual whatever happened to him, but the whole closed down on the selection of the policeman to do the case. All kinds of things went wrong. Everything went wrong, and a lot of people's names were called unfairly, including politicians, and a lot of people have in their bellies a feeling who some of the guilty parties was, but you end up Barbados society, nothing is said about them. So we move on.
Yes,
We move on, and we come to the current episode.
Yes.
Where every day there's a violent streak in Barbados. I saw on the video today a group of people, I don't know if they are men, boys, women, or what, beating up on a man to the point that he laid prostrate on the ground.
I heard it was a tourist. I don't know. Everybody's telling me this is at Sabi on the Bay.
Yes.
A tourist was beaten up.
You know, I can imagine that you go with a crowd of us go and somebody interfere or hit one of us, and the group responds in anger. But when the man is being robbed, and the group turns on him for holding on to his chain or watch or whatever it was that they were trying to steal, and then they turn and beat him to a pulp, it makes a big statement about where we have gone. And the worrying thing is that after the man laid prostrate, it appears that the person went and pulled the chain from off his neck. And then I mean that is a statement that frightens me, honestly frightens me. We are at a stage where something drastic has to happen for us to get ourselves back on course. I watched the TV yesterday, and I saw that another man was, according to the social media, executed.
Yes.
Yes, and that same figure face was once seen in the presence of the boss lady, and he was calling her the boss lady.
Yeah.
You know, and these things worry me. That you got the commissioner of police saying that they know who you are, you know who you are, and then somebody is shot down, and that body that is shot down has some kind of connection with the boss lady. You know, these things are not by mistake. And I am not a policeman. I am not an investigative officer in the law force enforcement. But these things worry Barbadians. Barbadians are getting worried about what is happening in Barbados in terms of the style of these murders and the people involved and the connections to political persons.
Yes, sir.
You know, but no people, no people, not many people want to come out and ask those questions. But I will ask them on the behalf of the silent ones. That we cannot continue to be saying dumb and pretend that our society is not in a state of decay, where moral and ethical standards continue to be reduced to almost nothing. You have to start speaking up. And Barbadians got to get up and get involved and ask the questions and ask for answers about connections. Because if you don't deal with that, the LP had a paper called The Untouchables in this crime report.
Mm-hmm.
I invite people to go and read it.
Yeah.
I invite people to go.
I'm here reaching for it. I keep it very close here on my shelf.
Read
The
on the Untouchables, the chapter on the Untouchables.
Yeah, it's a real thing.
Yes. And every day, the Untouchables loom larger and larger in the face of all of the negative things that are happening. But no, this man is a visitor. Is a visitor, and the consequences of that thing going viral and showing some perception of what Barbados is about and how we treat visitors. That has serious import for an industry that we consistently depend on and not increasingly depend on to keep our head above water.
Yeah. Yes, most definitely. So folks, this is what what Dr. Alleyne was talking about. It's this book here, The Blueprint to Rescue a Nation, and try to get it. I think it's available online. Chapter 7 talks about the untouchables, and give it a good read, because that is a lot of what is happening in Barbados, just the way how things are, connected up and so on. Let me see if Dr. Alleyne is ready again.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. I got a call from the lady upstairs. Yeah.
Yes, but look, I recognize that. Go right ahead.
No, I
know that's not what you came on to talk about. You're talking about the rise of dependency and the crisis of governance. So I don't want to take you off.
But all this is connected.
Connected, yes.
You see, they're not separate, and I was asking, I wrote the paper and I sent it across social media and I got positive feedback on it. And it forced me, it forced me this weekend to internalize a question that I know people who look past the bare superficiality of politics and superficiality of election results ask the question, what is it that Prime Minister Mia Mottley has that separates her from other politicians? I internalized that over the weekend. I recognize that the Mottley does not have any better qualifications than any other prime minister or even members of her own cabinet. She is not superior in her qualifications, whether it's law or whatever. She's not above them. She's not better than them. There are a lot of better lawyers in her cabinet. There are better administrators in her cabinet than her. There are better administrators in Barbados than Mottley. Does Mottley have the gift of the gab? She has the word, the ability to put cliches together and phrases. And some don't even connect, but they are repetitive and lead you to thoughts who are internalizing what she's saying, you get no conclusion from what she's saying. So she's no better orator than anybody else. So what is it that can get Motley to be able to get 30+% of the people to vote for her, get 50% of the voters in Barbados to stay home, and to win 3 consecutive elections 30-0? Is it? What is so special about Motley? I can't find the answer. So I went, as students of politics would do, into research. And I came across a paper, Takis Papas, a paper called Political Charisma Revisited and Reclaimed for Political Science. I want to read it again. Takis Papas.
Takis.
Takis, T-A-K-I-S, Papas, P-A-P-P-A-S. It's a 211 paper on political charisma revisited and reclaimed for political science. And he was saying that, most of us who did sociology and political science and even public administration would have come across some work by Weber, a sociologist, German sociologist, questioning Northwell for the bureaucracy, the thesis on the bureaucracy. He's also known to have written on charisma. And his traditional concept of charisma was that it was personal characteristics that people had. The people had the physical characteristics that people like about them, their style of doing things, and so on. But this guy, Papas, and a few modern thinkers have thrown that thesis on its head and says that charisma really is about political charisma. Is a type of leadership which is personal and aims at the radical transformation of established institutional order. I want to repeat that. That political charisma is a distinct type of leadership which is personal and aims at the radical transformation of an established institutional framework or order. That Motley, therefore, we should examine the extent to which Motley falls into this definition of charisma. Not one that has qualities that people like, but how the politics of Barbados has been shaped by Motley's intervention into politics and her leadership. And he says very, very clearly that there are things that identify and separate these people from the other type of leaders. One is that there is a relationship between them and the voters that subjugates the voters under their pressure, under their physical and power pressures.
I like that word, subjugate. Yeah. I love that.
And he says that these people is dissociated from non-democratic processes. That these people believe that the only control they have is the people who vote for them. Once they are voted into office, they have a right to run the place as they feel. And that embodies Motley's belief.
Yes.
Of her role as Prime Minister of Barbados. The people have voted for me 330 loves, and they have given me the right to run Barbados as I feel. That is not Darrell Alleyne's thesis. I'm quoting Takis Papas' work, and he put in a framework that identifies these kind of charismatic leaders. And he's saying they are not like the old definition. These people are in office. And what they do is that they change institutions. the democratic organized institutions in the old understanding of democracy, where institutions separated decision making from the individual. It was no longer the decision back when we had the youth service and the community development and the Ministry of Housing. It was the institution that built the framework for giving people goods and services. What this new definition of charisma says is that the individual, the leader, brings all of that authority into his or her hands.
Wow, repeat that, Dr. Alleyne, because remember that Miss Martley says big things come through me, only come through me. So can you repeat what the author says there? That's very powerful, I think.
He makes it very clear that once the new charismatic leader is about breaking institutions up and placing all the decision-making power into her hands. And your reference to big works come through me is typical of that kind of charismatic leader. So people line up behind them because it means that anything comes through them. The slightest thing in Barbados must come through this charismatic leader. And the charisma is about political power and political control.
So let me ask you a question, just because I'm want to learn and understand as well, and I'm taking notes. So would that be the reason where you now begin to see a weaken? The parliament is weakened. Parliament is just a discussion now.
Every single institution. Listen, the public service is a sham. The Prime Minister brings a new cadre of public officer called a political consultant and attaches individuals into ministries that reduce the power of the permanent secretary. The director of housing, of community development, of youth service, of anybody is now subjugated to the interference and influence of a consultant. So the whole institutional framework that was the public service has been changed. Parliament, because of the 30-0, had an influence in changing opposition politics. And even in the effort to get a semblance of opposition, the hands of the charismatic leader Motley could be read in the text of the correspondence from the president of Barbados. I say that. I say
that a little further. You're saying in the her hand is even because I think that it is so important that people understand that what you're discussing here, and that brilliant session that you did last week that showed us how the public sector and the community and all of that, the community-based organizations and all of that is all of those institutions broken down. Tonight you're telling us what you're proposing, what you think it is, that the problems we're having in society, it is because of the kind of leader that we have, which causes a dependence. Is that what we're saying here? I want to make sure that causes a rise of dependency then on said leader and not the institutions.
Look. If people Barbados don't like to own up with it, a group of policemen took a matter to the law courts. The law court said that they didn't have a case. They went to the appeal court, the appeal tribunal. It said no case. I think they went as far as the CCJ, no case. And the Prime Minister and her government awarded compensation to those people who the court said had no case. And nobody in Barbados is bold enough or enough to get up and say so.
Yes, I remember.
You breaking up the institutions called the courts for political interest. The courts made a ruling, and the political officer, the what Papas is calling the new type of leader under a veil of charisma. It's changing everything to reduce every decision to political decision. Every decision made in this country is driven by political ends, not development, not community organization, not religious, ethical, or not. It's about political ends. What is the political end for the government? And Barbadians continue to sleep. But as long as I got breath and voice, I will letting my voice be heard.
And we are much grateful. We're much grateful because it takes people with your understanding to be able to pull everything away. Because what we're seeing, Barbados, as because a lot of you watching, you might not understand where we're going tonight. What is happening? We are seeing the fruit of a lot of these things. But what Dr. Alleyne is doing, he is going to the root of it, and the root of it is because it's the type of leadership that we have. And to the comment in the chat that says that this will not get the DLP anywhere, this is not a DLP discussion. We are speaking to the nation. Dr. Derek Alleyne is speaking to the nation as a father of this nation. Nothing to do with DLP trying to win an election. We are getting to the root of a problem. And the root of the problem has to do with what happened in 2018 with this woman on the screen, the type of leadership that she employs. Go right ahead, Dr. Alleyne.
You know, I get so accustomed to the detractors and the motley people. Every time you make a comment, they bring it down to BLP versus DLP. They don't look at the evidence. They don't want to deal with the facts. They don't want to be what's in front of them. But the whole political thing always is placed at you. It's about B versus D, not about what is right and what is wrong, what is good and what is bad. It's not about those things anymore. Everything is about BLP, DLP, and 30 love. So our whole institutional framework is reduced to an election outcome of 30-0. Not the Prime Minister comes out and says today that we can do an A or B, and tomorrow she shifts gear and bring her the opposite position. They're not interested in that. She is saying that when they give me, the man gave me Motley the money, get not even the government, me Motley the mandate, and I'm going to do as I like. And how dare anybody criticize or question me? And she got 29 people in that house that don't even have the temerity or the strength of character to say something. Prime Minister, you're going too far. And we are citizens. We ask ourselves every day. We ask ourselves, what are we into? Where are we going? The Prime Minister going back to the IMF, goes back to the IMF, came out and said we out of it. We are out of it. And then they got some economists in the paper saying it may be a good thing. If I owe people money, let me say I owe a couple of the offices in town. I owe furniture. I owe for furniture. I owe for a car. I owe my mortgage. I owe the store at the bottom of the street. I don't go and borrow money and put it down and say if the people bring a thing to me, I can go for it. You don't borrow money and put it in an account and say you holding it in case. In case of what? You pay your debt. If you have debt, you pay your debt. No, it's the most foolishness I've ever heard from people who got things. But you running your own house, so you're not going to do that. So wait with somebody running a country, go and borrow money, so you keeping money there in case. I don't understand. It ain't like you got water stored in a tank in case there's a fire. Money has cost. Every time you borrow money, there are costs. And to take money, borrow money, and put it in an account, say you You put it on account in case you need it. It's encouraging more debt.
Correct.
Not only the borrowed amount, but the interest on top of it. And you got sensible people that went to school walking about saying it's a good safeguard. That is rubbish. And I am not an economist, but I'm not an idiot. But you see, so many of these professionals stand on the line because they don't want to offend the boss lady. They don't want to offend because they recognize that decisions in Barbados are not based on merit, are not based on right, are not based on good, it's not based on development, it's about political control. The influence of the Prime Minister to get her own way. And they don't want to be honest. They don't want to be honest because the truth is that they are telling themselves because most Barbadians who are thinking see through them. You go and borrow $250 million in case. In case who?
But remember, she said, "I love money," so we know that that's going to disappear in no time. In no time. But let me not take you off your topic because that's what you're sharing there is so powerful about the rise of dependency. That aspect. Continue on your path.
You have in Barbados as we speak a call from the minister. I get these ministers. The ministry's got so much names now. Oh Lord, let me look at my notes. One of these ministers that made a call, Labour.
Yeah, Labour. Okay.
He called for more action and more positive behavior by the private sector and to get involved in reducing the challenges to health and safety in the workplace and the tensions that govern working in Barbados and so on. And I can't fault any minister for asking for that. But the government has to lead the way. The government has to be the example of good HR practices. We've been waiting here ever since they were doing a restructuring in the public service that they were going to do. My brain, I got back at my notes. They were going to do. I get so tired. I mean, when I listen to these ministers, and then they come. It's soon coming. It's in the works. We're looking at it. 7 years, everything you're looking at. This thing where they were to regrade the public service. They were supposed to be regrading of the public servants. And they were supposed to be meeting with the unions to look at the skills in the public service. This is now 2.5 years later. There is not even a temporary report, an interim report on some of the positions that have been offered. Now, if you are the government, and people are all aware that the government is the single biggest employer. I mean, when you add all the government offices, no institution in Barbados that has more people on its books than the public sector. You make the public sector right. We got nurses crying out, begging. I saw it in the Nurses Week. We got a cadre of nurses in there that begging for training. Here we going back to Africa for more nurses. Have we increased the complement of nurses that can be trained in any calendar year with improved facilities and resources to the community college and the hospital and the polyclinics? No. The answer is no. So rather than putting out a only calling number, 30 nurses, let's move to get 100 coming out of our system every 2 years or something like that. rather than running, going back to Africa. And you do that by improving the conditions for nurses, appealing what do you pay them, what are the benefits of becoming a nurse in Barbados. We get in an old society. How many people are doing gerontology? How many individuals are specializing in caring of the elderly? What programs are available for young people coming to school to take a career in that area, saying that it's going to be a demand shortly?
Mm-hmm.
That is what you do. You don't just talk here. You build out programs so that young people come up and say, look, we can need 30 or 40 people annually to look after the growing aging population. And the government puts inside a program that satisfies people coming out. Good remunerative packages, environment to work, travel arrangements, new systems of visiting. Not got the home helpers up through the hot sun from location to location. You put a system in place that moves them.
Yes.
A lot of the home helpers were getting to 60 and we still had to do the 4 miles walk every day in the burning sun. And when they get to the elderly home, they're too tired even to have a conversation with them. Find systems. But the bus service isn't even adequate then for them to get on the bus to do the home health visits that they got to do. Those are the things that we got to do. And the government must set the example. That is what your model government does. It acts as a model employer. So that private sector say the government has institutionalized some health and safety conditions that we better not fall short of. And I smile when I hear the minister talking, because most of them just talk. And when they don't talk, they don't hear what they say. But the Labor Department, I keep saying every time we go on this program, they need staff.
Mm-hmm.
Stop the talk and find staff. The problem is, you got to improve the conditions under which they work. You need to get the health and safety people with proper equipment to test some of the conditions at work, the air levels, the pollution levels. We still operating like 1994 in 2024. We need to get modern. We need to get new structured system, testing system, facilities. The Labor Department still squeezed up in a little room. I came on this program sometime last year, but the first time I ever came on, and I made a point about a problem that we have at the secondary schools. And I think that was 2 years ago, where the chemicals at the secondary schools are not properly stored. And that we have chemicals, sulfuric acid, principle one, stored in the labs or in cupboards inside the labs, and the corks decaying. And people are exposed to those kind of conditions across the secondary schools. And this matter has been brought to the attention of the Ministry of Education now for the last 4 years that I know of. And I believe it was before then. Be the model employer. Be the model employer, government. Make sure that all of the provisions for health and safety at the schools, in your offices, have met the required standards. I had a laugh last week. One of the ministers, I think is the one from the environment or something, saying that they can get Parliament friendly for people with challenges. They can get the Parliament of Barbados friendly for people with challenges. And I gotta laugh. I went to Parliament, like, nobody don't go in there. them is busting school children, bringing school children to come and clap and point to them in the gallery. Nobody don't go in Parliament. But they can get the Parliament ready.
But Dr. Alleyne, as you're speaking about all of these governance issues, people don't realize how this rise of dependency is really what is causing the governance issues, because our institutions, what Dr. Alleyne is saying to us, is that our institutions are disappearing. They are crumbling, and it's everything is and you know and in this one individual, this charismatic leader, and that is the root of our problem.
It's,
Is
it's,
that, is
it,
that what you're saying?
it's listen, look, and I mean the evidence hits us in the face, and those of us who want to ignore it, we ignore it to our own peril. If you apply for any assistance in Barbados,
Yes.
there's a government that controls all 30 seats. One of the requirements is to get a letter from the MP.
Mm-hmm.
So you want a telephone pole or electric pole, or you want a toilet turned to waterborne. You go and you make an application to one of the agency, the UDC, the RDC, or National Housing, or the disability unit, because the institutions were set up for that purpose. When you get there, you're told to go and get a letter from the MP. And if you are not a person to know how to find you MP, because some of them have been gone absent, you got to march down at the constituency office and wait when they got a branch meeting and go and tell them I want a letter to take to one of those institutions for somebody to come and make an assessment of my needs. That should not happen. The institutions were designed with definitions of needy, who's needy, income levels, the number of people in a house. All of those things are criteria designed so that people can be properly assessed about their need. That is what it is. Not a letter from the MP is the criteria set down anywhere except by this government of dependency and mendicancy. This is all it's about. So you can't go and ask even a job, simple job. No, you go get that from your MP. So the personnel administration and the officers and the personnel officers now rubber stamp appointments. I don't understand why Barbadians can sit down and tolerate this kind of behavior.
So
It's
yeah,
amazing.
Go ahead, Doctor. Go ahead.
No, I'm saying it's amazing that people can sit down and accept this. And when people raise up the voice against it, they turn it into that is a political statement. It's a fact.
Yeah, because that's what I wanted to say, that in this environment where you now have this the rise of dependency, which is what is happening in Barbados, the leader becomes untouchable. What would you say? Because then you see every time anybody criticizes what is happening, the supporters. Could it be why the supporters are so aggressive online? They consider disrespect. You hate the leader. You attacking the country, instead of we're just, this is just democratic scrutiny. We're just asking questions. Could that be the reason why it is appearing that this leader is untouchable because of this rise of dependency that has been created?
Look, the Papa says that the leader assumes unto himself the answers for every issue and every solution. It is no longer the institutions, and in Barbados' case, it's no longer the government in collective. It is the prime minister. So if you make an application, I said this already on this program, that's why things in Barbados don't happen. Because if you ask for something to be done, the 29 other people in the house must wait until they hear from her.
Mm.
And she's not around often enough to give them a response. So a lot of things are left unfinished and undone. I was going to put on his social media I went to get my license, car license and my driver's license renewed. And I had to say that the Barbados Amateur Athletic Association and those, like, they have a agreement with the government, because when they took my license one place, I went to the insurance, get the insurance paper, took the insurance paper down, whole town. The lady took the paper, then he had to go around the corner to another building. Then come, the woman give me, write up something, give me, they had to go back where he just come from to pay. And then I needed temporary numbers. I had to go back where I come from at first and apply for the numbers. Then the woman gave me a paper and I had to go back where I just come from and pay for the numbers. And then go back and get the numbers. And I'm 72 years old. So I said the Amateur Athletic Association and the government and the Geriatric Association work out saying to keep all of you fit. When you go to the license authority, you're supposed to exercise, walk about, get busy, don't drop. So I thank them for that. But you still got now, the system is supposed to sort out. And the Prime Minister has to come and put her stamp on it. And it's so bad that there is not a building open in Barbados over the last 7 years that does not have the Prime Minister's name on it. Not one.
You serious?
Not one. If you go down in St. Lucie and look at the thing they put up for Earl Bar, Prime Minister name bigger than Earl Bar name. The Prime Minister name is the feature on that plaque. Her name is in twice the size of Earl Bar's name. The font is twice the size of his. So it look like it's her plaque. The geriatric hospital got Motley name on it. Not the Minister of Health or the Minister responsible for the elderly. The one that had one to open somewhere up in St. Joseph something back had on Motley name. And they have one the representative or the minister. It's got Motley name. Those are the symbols of this new charismatic leader. Where political control, political interest, political domination falls in one single person, not the cabinet of Barbados, on the individual called Motley. That is what Papa is saying. That this new brand of charismatic leader moves away from the liberal democratic principles of collective responsibility, of institutional frameworks to hand out or to assign help and so on, and falls into this new charismatic leader's hand where political interests are the principal concern. That is what he's saying. And I invite all the listeners, 2011 Papas. It is a lovely, lovely example of looking at what kind of leader Motley is. And I searched all last week because they couldn't understand where I could find the literature and explanation for why Motley could get 30 plus votes and get 50% of Barbadians not to vote. Couldn't get it understand. And this framework sets it out very, very clearly, the kind of behavior, the kind of traits, and so on. Charisma is no longer about physical characteristics now. It's about the use of political power to make decisions. And the most charismatic person is who can use the political power the best. And they become strong. They become invincible, untouchable. Those are the terms that identify the new charismatic leader.
Yeah.
Not tall and happy and bright. Nothing so no. Them things don't work now. They don't work anymore. That's going through the door.
So how about corruption? Do you think when power, that power that you are describing there is really about power being concentrated, right, in one area, right, with one person? So then you don't really have oversight then. You see what I'm saying? So what about corruption? What's the impact of that on that type of leadership on corruption in a country?
A lot of people believe that the only form of corruption there is that somebody put their hand in the till and took out 50 cents when they should not do it. That's stealing. That's stealing. But you got in this Barbados we live in, insider trading. The contracts issued to people before going through the correct tendering process. utilizing decision, making decisions without going through the correct process, that is corruption too. When you reduce the personal administration to a rubber stamping office, when you bring on your commissioners that do not have the qualification criteria for the salary scales they're getting, that is corruption. It undermines the legitimate structure of working of the institutions, so that the people who get those jobs are not interested in what they should be interested in. They're interested in serving the person that gave them the job. So these young people that they bring on, these commissions, are more concerned about making the hirer happy than making the charges called young people happy. And the people who are supposed to supervise them have to be careful how they speak to them, because they don't report to them. They didn't have any say in bringing them on. They did not do the interviews. The letters were handed from people who came with their letters or their recommendations from their MP. That was the criteria. That is corruption. That is reducing the public service to political influence and unfairness. And I'm not afraid to say that. But the other thing I want to say, all this say also dovetails into the same behavior. Following the 1986 general election in Barbados, when I think the Barbados, they probably got 3 seats out of the 27 or so. I think it was 24-3. They invited a gentleman called Hartley Mosley to do a report on what factors led to the Barbados Labour Party defeat. And among other things, he said the lack of presence in most of the organizations in Barbados, the youth groups, the associations, the leagues. There's not enough involvement of the Barbados Labour Party's people message in national organizations. As I speak to you now, there are not many national organizations that are not dominated by the Reds. Whether it's football, cricket, hockey, netball, unions, credit unions, the Red dominates all of them. And that Red relates to the same leader. And that Red is taken not only in Barbados, across the region, and heralded as the answer for all the problems in the Barbados and in the region. And that is why we are in this hole. I have already said that the Red is also for the devil.
Yes. Ready to the devil. But I mean, this is so insightful what you are talking about tonight, because historically, when you look, there's a pattern. These kinds of leaders, they present themselves as protectors. Remember the way the campaign was run in 2018, as they're coming to reform and all the changes. I can see even the gay community is upset with her because she's made promises to them, and even with the Constitution, that's one of the reasons why the Constitution hasn't moved anywhere. The new Constitution, because the promises that are made to the gay community, they're upset because they're not factored into this new Constitution that she has. So she's put herself as emerging as a protector, reformer. People place enormous trust in Mia Mottley's leadership. Okay, so we saw that historical pattern, and then the as you talk about, the dependency deepens, right? But I guess over time, people start to see that, hold a minute, a lot of this was just, they were just promises, right? And we start to see that you can't criticize. So the criticism now becomes, dangerous to criticize. It becomes unpopular. When people call me Dr. Alleyne and telling me to be careful, institutions, as you say, they slowly weaken around them. And so we can see that historically, when we look at other other countries and the way countries that have been governed in this way, it just does not end well. They actually, the democracy is weakened at the end of it. And what do you say about that?
No, the Papa's the same article that I keep referring to. It makes this general point. When these leaders, these charismatic leaders come out, they come to reform. They come as saviors. So the thing in Barbados was repeated the last decade.
Yes.
Saving the economy, saving the Barbados dollar. Those messages were repeated consistently. And there were a group of members of the Democratic Party who should never be around government. They should be banished. They're the worst thing in government in Barbados. And this new brand, this prime minister, was coming to be the savior. Papa says that's how they come. They'll come to you with that argument. And they get you to buy into them as some extraordinary person. They bring extraordinary skills. They bring, now the prime minister it become Miss Worldly. She's Miss World. She's driving course. She's Miss Global Motley. She's so special. She's extraordinary. She can get on the BBC. She can get to this. And the people were just buying into the ignorance.
Yeah. Just 1 minute there. Guys, somebody, they're messing with the algorithm. So I need everybody, if you have not liked and you have not shared, they don't want Dr. Alleyne to say what he's saying. They just dropped by 100 a while ago. Folks, they are working a work now. Everybody take a pause, take half a minute. Did you join the show and you didn't like it now? Because they're trying to tell YouTube that that something is wrong with the show. So I need everybody to stop and to do that right now. Right now. Everybody help out. Share and like right now. And this is exactly what Dr. Alleyne is saying. This is what the rise of dependency, when that leader, that charismatic leader becomes untouchable. And you don't want us to speak about the leader. So now you go and you start to report us to YouTube. We can tell that you're doing it. That is what Barbados has come down to, Dr. Alleyne. But continue, please. Please.
I don't like to. The lady says that this is about the BLP versus the DLP, and that this is DLP message and thing. Well, let's draw this thing. Why was it so difficult and so dangerous for Ralph Thorne to be in the house? Ask yourself that question. For the first 3 years, there was barely any opposition because honestly, the doctor, my friend, because he had just come from the Barbados bosom, there was no opportunity for him to critique anything that they had done. I talk about Reverend Atherley.
Reverend Atherley, yeah.
Right? There was nothing for him to critique, because the Labour Party was not in government before. They were coming in new. He left them and came and formed the opposition. He can't critique what they did because they had not started doing anything. So he had to respond daily to their activities. So there was no record. So quickly, by the time they started to create areas that he could challenge, they called an election. And that then reduced him out of the ranks, so there's still no opposition. Then Ralph Thorne decides he's going to come and offer an alternative voice in the House. That was not supposed to happen. So another election was called. Every effort was made to ensure that that voice was taken out of the public sphere. So we return to 2018, where there is absolutely no voice heard except the token noise in the Senate. Because every week, the 29 and a half of them go, and they thump the tables, and clap, 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 to their own voices. They're speaking and praising themselves. There's nobody to raise any issue for the rest of Barbados. And that is what this leadership is about. And so when they go out and interfere with the broadcast, it's because there is something being said that they cannot take. So they must interfere and break the flow of information that flows from this program. Because this is the only program that offers critique on the style of governance Barbados now finds itself having to maneuver life in. That everything must say yes to the government. And when anybody says no, that person is an enemy, not of the state, but an enemy of Morley.
Correct. You know,
Even those in the house sitting downside her, I challenge them to get in the house and say, I disagree. Not one of them. And all the and some of them got they resign out of the cabinet and then run back in. All of them. Come outside and talk behind she back. They can hear your voice, the one explain to you what's wrong with Barbados and so on. But a man or woman to get up in the house and say, I disagree with A, B, or C. That is what we have in Barbados.
Yes, most definitely. But let me ask you, what about succession planning? Right? I'm seeing that when the in a kind of a government like in a Motley run government, you don't see much of MPs, as you were saying, making decisions and so on. What happens when that leader leaves? What do you see happening to them when she leaves?
No. Molly, she's just a special human being. Molly control every now and then. Molly control this thing that she done. That she done with it, and she ain't coming back.
Mm-hmm.
But every now and then she would drop me in. I'm tired. I'm getting under pressure, and somebody else need to step up. But when Alpha told us that he was responsible for Molly, that he provide every avenue, every opportunity for her to demonstrate her leadership skills and to learn how to administer, how to govern. When Alpha said, so not me. And then he finalized it by saying, but she's a despot. He said that he provided every avenue for her to move to the top of the ring. And I don't know if y'all remember the 2008 election when they were going to be co-leaders. Think Maskell. Barbadian's got good memory, short memories, you know. There was to be co-leadership. Anyhow, that. But the point is, there's not going to be no succession planning. Miss Morley's going on. What else can Morley do? There was a big lot of talk about Miss Morley going to the UN and to this thing and the next thing. All that failed. That was just a site put up to show people to beg she not to go and she indispensable. You can't let you go, Morley. The UN want you, but we want you more. That was the intent. But what succession planning was? Molly what Molly does is bring people around her that she can control. So she gets rid of all of those people who are likely to say near. And bring those around her that she can say, shut up. You have to be out of your head. You can't even expect to think that anybody here will vote for you to be president of the Barbados Labour Party. Are you drunk or are you mad? She like people that she can say that to. But none of them can get him and say running for president against Miss Morley next year. Not one of them. Not one of them, including all the half of McGuffies and all of them that got pedigree. None of them ain't gonna run against Morley. And now I watched the other day with the confusion in the Central, in St. Michael Central, where a big McGuffey came and see he was supporting A and B, and then it was a big, and that's a show, puppy show, to give the public impression that something democratic was going to happen. Morley gets her choice. If Morley wants Gaddafi, it's Gaddafi. If she wants Trump, it is Trump. That is Morley. How Morley runs Barbados. Whatever Morley wants, she gets. Because the Barbadians have endeared her and have given her the impression that Barbados cannot survive without her. And she surrounds herself with some people who know how to curtsy and bow.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the gospel of Barbados.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, because people cursing and bowing because the fear, because this power is centralized, and it, you know, as I said, this kind of charismatic leader has developed. There's so much fear, Dr. Alleyne. Today, you know, last night I did a show, and I was revealing a couple of things, and I've gotten so many calls and messages today. Marcia, be careful. Marcia, I'm praying for you, oh Lord. And I realized how much, I mean, and thank you. I thank everybody for their care, but I realized how much a fear culture has been developed. And, you know, because people don't want to speak honestly, you know, they're fear losing, you know, they might have business contracts, they're going to lose business contracts, they fear censorship, you know, because they think that loyalty, right? They choose loyalty more than competence. They see incompetence, but they're choosing loyalty more than that. But as I said to somebody today, Dr. Alleyne, that, you know, as long as I live, I'm not going to bow to any golden calf. You understand?
Right.
I'm not bowing down to any golden calf, sir. You know, and I don't know if you can speak to that fear, because somebody like you, I saw you in town and I said, Dr. Alleyne, regardless of what happens, I don't want you. I said, please keep talking. We need you. It's the same way how we needed Ralph Thorne, and they tried their best to shut up Ralph Thorne. And I say to Barbadian public, get ready, because they're going to want to come for Dr. Alleyne. And each of you, we have almost 1,000 of you watching tonight. Each of you that you're watching tonight on the show, when they come for Dr. Alleyne, you need to realize that they come for you too. We're not going to leave him. We're not leaving him out there. You understand? He is speaking tonight to us like a father. We need him to speak. And I know you all come to watch, and you're going to try to tell us, what are you going to tell us about Dr. Alleyne that we don't know? We know the man. We know his faults already. We know his failures already.
Yeah.
You understand, Dr. Alleyne? So
Right.
A warning. You the same way. I'm telling you, they did not want Ralph Thorne. They did not want Ralph Thorne to be speaking do any kind of public speaking. Right now, they don't want his voice to be heard anymore, Dr. Alleyne. If they do anything to stop me, they would stop me, and they would try to do the same. And I'm telling Barbados, it's because of that fear. A culture of fear has developed, and we need to stand guard in prayer and support over Dr. Alleyne. But go ahead, sir.
I'm on the executive of the Democratic Labour Party. I think people know I'm a member of the party, and they don't hide it. I've been a member since 1971. You know, so I was a member of NUPW since 1972. I'm still a member. I go to my retirees committee meeting every time there's a meeting, and I get involved. I went on Saturday. We had a special conference, and I was there. I participate in democratic processes because they believe participation in institutions will make Barbados stronger. And I turn up to my meetings of all the organizations that I serve or I'm a member of. So I don't get fear from Miss Morley or any of her people. They will come up to me and pretend that everything is good. I don't mind. I know you're a good man, Derek. You're doing a good job. But behind my back, they want to kill me. They want to crucify who I am and what I stand for. But as long as I live, nobody can make me anything that I'm not. Because I'm very, very confident about the person I am. So I don't worry. I don't walk about and brag. I got a doctorate or I got I don't do things. People know me for who I am. I behave the way I am comfortable with. People know me. People know what I stand for and what I will do. What they know is that I'm not going to cow down or curtsy or bow down to anybody like Morley. Never, ever, ever will.
Never. People say, oh, you know, but Marcia, you know, have to be concerned with where you go. And I said, listen to me. I whatever they want to do. If I need to, if I have to be locked up in the house, I will lock up in the house. But I'm telling you this, that I'm going to speak what I want to speak. I'm going to open my mouth and I'm going to defend those that can't defend themselves. And I say to you, Dr. Alleyne, we need your voice, sir. We need you to keep writing the articles, put them out on social media. And I have another idea for you for them, but I won't tell you on air. And continue to find a way to speak. We need you to speak. We need Ralph Thorne. Ralph Thorne, if you're listening to us, we need you to speak. I know you've been through a lot, and they would want to suppress your voice. But you know, Dr. Alleyne, you know how I am? Because I know they don't want me to say certain things, I just say it. You understand? Anytime they bother me, you bother me, you go down to flow and try to mess me up, you do all these things. I come on, any night they see me, Dr. Alleyne, I come on here and I am fired up, is because they did me something. Because I need them to understand that they're not God, and I will not bow to no golden calf. None.
Here's your brother, and I can speak clearly. I was in Mr. Marley's office up until 2019 when she was the minister, and she knows that I respect people for what they do, how they treat others. I don't respect the title of the person. The office is respected. The person gains respect by how they behave. Not because you're a reverend or you're the prime minister that I am going to bend down to you. I bend down to the office. If I come to the prime minister's office, I will do what I'm supposed to do. Good afternoon, ma'am. How are you doing? Have a good day. But my behavior to that person is based on how they treat Barbadians, how they run Barbados. And Mr. Motley runs Barbados as though it's her play thing, that she can do whatever she likes with it. And that we must all accept what she does without criticism or complaint. Not me. I will never do it. And my mother didn't bring me up so. My mother bring me up to question what I am not certain about. And when I know it is wrong, to say it is wrong. And the way this country is being governed and run by Miss Morley is not in the best interest of Barbadians. It is for Miss Morley's own edification and her international profile building. And faster Barbadians understand that, the better for the entire Barbadian society. No, you can't be telling me today that you go the IMF hand and 2 weeks later you're getting about $250 more million from the same IMF, and I supposed to accept that there's some justification for that. Not me. Tell that who pretending to be stupid or who want to keep in your good books. I don't want to be in your good books. I want to deal with facts, truth, honesty, uprightness, and good governance. And there's no evidence that this prime minister understands what to do for the best interest of Barbadians. It's about her. And I didn't say so, without fear of contradiction. The evidence is all there.
And to justify the topic that we're dealing with tonight, the rise of dependency, the type of charismatic leader that would cause this rise of dependency in this country. We looked at last night, I touched on it, Dr. Alleyne. I don't know if you are familiar with, or you heard about what her and this president, it's getting me more and more annoyed at this man. I was trying to give him all the respect, that's the truth, but I'm very annoyed with this man. At this point, I'm saying it, the man, and everybody who watched the show would tell you that when he became president, I said, you know what, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. I'll see, but the man is clearly a Barbados Labour Party lackey, and servant of the Barbados Labour Party. And I have I'm saying it as I see it, because I've held my peace long enough. Read this man. Okay. They are now, them together are now this president, this BLP president and this BLP prime minister now selling their pictures. And this is because of this rise, what you're talking about, this charismatic, this rise of this type of charismatic leader that serves themselves and causes the electorate and the ordinary citizen to be dependent on them, are now selling their pictures for me to do with it, for people to frame it like we are in North Korea and put it inside of our houses and our workplaces, after she has her name on almost every building, as you have said, in Barbados. Make her name bigger than Errol Barrow, on his birthplace. She makes her name bigger, and now she's selling her picture. Dr. Alleyne, doesn't that underscore exactly what you're talking about? I'm so annoyed by this.
You see, there are subtle ways of building an image of invincibility, and the Prime Minister probably would have read a few of the narcissistic leaders and what they did to embolden themselves on a gullible populace. And every little thing, you see the red benches across Barbados, that subtlety.
Yes.
Every time you walk around, every little play park, every little open space, there's a red bench. That was not by mistake. The national colors of Barbados are still gold and blue, but the benches are not in gold or blue. They are in red. And that was not by error. And now the office of president, I told you that I wrote him. I wrote to the president questioning the way he selected the senators. And of course, I didn't expect him to respond. But I think as a citizen of Barbados, I have a right, if something bothers me, to write to whoever is the body making the judgment and ask a question. And I didn't expect any response from a president who clearly has indicated that he is not unbiased, that there is a bias, and that he's going to run his office with a political flavor. And that is his right. He can tell you that the Prime Minister is the person who appointed him, and therefore he may have respect and a duty to support her. He can tell you that, but that is not what the office should be. But my dealings with him since he became president of Barbados shows that he has a clear bias. Because I wrote to him, he never acknowledged the letter. I didn't expect him to, but I wrote him because something was on my mind that was bothering me, and I responded to him, his behavior. And
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of my friends told me don't do it, that you don't really address the president. I say don't address the president when the president is behaving presidential.
Correct.
But when the president starts to behave political, then you put your political hand on it as well.
Listen to me, he is a political tool.
Mm.
He's a BLP.
Mm.
He's a BLP political tool, and I have reached to that is my opinion.
But I for the last year and a half, 6 months, I've said absolutely nothing about the stewardship of our first president. Nobody can point to the political behavior.
Exactly.
Nothing, absolutely nothing. So much so that I had people in the Democratic Party were asking, why would she talk about the last decade? I said, because that is the tradition. She reads what is given to her. You understand? She was above board at every call. And even a lot of people don't want to speak to it. The president is entitled to 2 terms in office. She only got one. She was Governor General in her first term. She had a right to have 2 terms as president of Barbados, but that's a political decision made by Motley with the office of president. Nobody want to talk about it. I know the former president, will never speak about it.
She would never. That's the thing. That woman is such. Can you imagine? They put the woman to sit near the toilet. They treat it, and that's one of the reasons. Listen to me. I know that people are going to message me and say, "Oh, it's a president. You must speak highly of the president," and so on. But I agree with you. Is when is a person being presidential, and this whole matter now with these portraits and selling portraits, I am just totally annoyed, and I will be public with how I feel about what I'm going to say, because I have tried my best I have tried my best. I saw how they treated the last president. Horribly. Horribly, Dr. Alleyne. And now they want us now taking him to schools and the children must come out and trying to listen. Don't bother with it with me. Don't bother with it. I am not bowing down to any golden calf. And I say to Barbadians, you need to pull yourself from underneath that influence. Pull yourself mentally from under the influence of these people.
And we are reaching the stage that I don't know how we're gonna recover. Barbadians are comfortable criticizing what the president of the United States, Donald Trump, says or does, but they have a fear of critiquing.
Thank you.
What our prime minister and her government determine are the best causes. And I when they come to me talking about Trump, my question is, what about Motley?
Thank you.
That's what he
asked. Doing the same thing. She is doing the same thing as Trump, but they only have a voice for Trump. Because I tell you this, if left up to her, I told him last night she's gonna put up a golden calf of herself. She's gonna put up a statue. I expect everybody to bow down, and the same Bajans will tell you if you don't bow down, they will take a whip and beat you in this country. I am telling you, it will get there because of how Barbadians are right now with this woman. Every single thing, you cannot say a word. We have reached that. That is where we have reached. You could tell. I hate this kind of thing. I hate it, and I'm hoping Barbadians are seeing through it. But let me shut up and let you speak.
You know, we get every week we come on and we make our case, and we can only do that. We can only bring evidence of maladministration, of corruption, of indecent behavior, of consistently telling us one story today and doing the opposite tomorrow. We can speak about the growing dependency and mendicancy that dominate Barbadian, working class Barbadians' response to their lives. When you see that man then beat a man and take his chin off his neck, I mean, and not fellas representing somebody interfere with or something, but to take away a man's chin and then beat him and pop it off his neck and walk away. That is the society that we have not grown accustomed to. I wrote in the same article, I wrote that every day there's a siren blaring. Every day you drive in, you gotta pull over. The police busy. I used to associate that siren blaring with North America, particularly New York. But every day I live on Black Rock Main Road, and you can hear the sirens going north and south every day. And every day you go on social media, some kind of bad behavior, whether it's in the school children beating one another. It's somebody beat a female police today, undressed police, beat her. And this government is not accountable for anything. We find all kind of descriptions of societal changes for all the things that happen in Barbados. Nobody's saying, what is the government doing? Oh, no, we need this. This is the best government in the history of Barbados. 30 love. 3 times. Makes them the best government. And not one member of the government can say to Ms. Motley, ma'am, I think you're overdoing it. And every day, minister after minister, this day soon come. We know we bringing this here, this coming. We rolling out this, we rolling out that. And you go up at license authority, lines long, hospital miserable, schools 13 gonna shut down in a couple of weeks for repairs. I read that last year there was supposed to be 66 repaired. Now there's supposed to be 40 more. I don't know how many schools we got in Barbados. 66 and 40 down to 6. I don't understand. I started writing the paper on tell the truth about the school program. Whenever this government in office, I there and he say schools start back late because the whole procurement exercise is influenced by decision making that ought not to decide. Procurement is not standing tenders and the best or most attractive tender or the tender with the best track record gets the contract. And that it drags on and drags on and on and on. And rather than having 12 weeks, you end up with 5 and 6 weeks because the contract has not been awarded. And when it is awarded, it's awarded to somebody that can do the work. I say that. And if you go into Cheapside, there's a project they are building kiosks opposite the post office. It was supposed to finish in November last year. This is May. It ain't done. It is incomplete in May, scheduled to finish in November 2025. And nobody's accountable for it. Nobody is punished for it. I don't know who's the engineer, who's the architect, who the builder. It is 6 months overdue now. That means the money gone up for the cost. Overrun again. They got a monstrosity there in Newton. It on stall. And nobody's asking any questions about it. They're just gone dumb. There's a project for more houses down in St. Peter where the contractor disappeared with taxpayers' money. And Barbadian's gone dumb. The man was renting warehouse space from business people in Barbados, and when they're sending in the bills, they couldn't find him. And he had a contract to build houses in St. Peter and St. Lucie. Ask the government to give an account for that. I want to put the genuine name on the paper. Like next time if we don't get an answer, I will bring all the facts I have and declare them. Because the thought that the $60 million was the only problem that Mr. Sunderland or whoever was the minister had to deal with, there was additional money given to another contract from a national housing or Ministry of Housing, one of them, to build houses in the north. One single house was built, one single house. And the man disappeared from both here. All of these things are people there, but there's no Ralph Thorne in the house.
Correct.
You understand? There's nobody in there to get up and embarrass them and call out these shortcomings. And they like it so.
That's it. I'm telling you, they want Mr. Thorne to never speak publicly. I tell you this here, and I'm not speaking it over his life, but I'm telling you, if they could have put him 6 feet under in a coffin, the coffin that they presented, I tell you, Dr. Alleyne, these wicked people would do that. If they could have put Mr. Thorne in that coffin that they had there, if they would have preferred it was him over his brother. I am telling you, these people are that wicked because they don't want his voice. They're afraid of him. They don't want his voice. You understand? These people are cowards. They are cowards. Every bully is a coward.
And they die every day. They die a little bit. Every day they die a little bit. And so much so that soon some of them ain't gonna know themselves.
Correct.
Some of them ain't gonna know themselves.
You see, everything is being uncovered. Everything is being uncovered, right?
They say that Barbadians say that you can hide and buy land, but you can't hide and work it.
You can't hide and work it.
All the workings that they're running and they're doing, they're gonna come out. And that is one of the reasons why they could not afford to keep Thorne in the house, anyhow, Senate or lower house, because he is not afraid to say what is what. Yeah.
It's the worst government in the history of Barbados. You will all look back and you will see this prime minister. As we put up we always put up that little poster. Some of you ask me, I need to remember to send it. faker than a $3 bill. She come and tell us that, oh, look, we've left the IMF, and then all of a sudden now she have the IMF and she has a figure attached, you know, that just in case we need it, because they know they've already taken it. Faker than a $3 bill. Oh, I came off the plane. I came off the plane and I rushed to the commissioner of police. And as far as I know, I can be corrected on this one because I didn't double check it. But I can't remember since she came home and she rushed to the commissioner of police. I have not heard the man. I have not heard him make a public statement. I don't know what she did to him when she rushed off the plane. But she rushed to the commissioner of police.
But let me tell you,
yeah, look, go ahead.
I say all the time, if I ever got hospitalized, I don't want the prime minister to come and look for me. Because she went and looked for Richard Stout and he died the next day. She went and looked for going after he died the next day too. So I don't want she look for me. Promise me that. If you hear that in hospital, tell the nurses and don't let her come in.
Well, we don't know. We don't know if it have any correlation. But listen,
I know.
You don't know and you don't want to find out.
No, I want she come. Tell her, don't let you pass near the hospital at all.
Yeah.
And then you mean even these people here that they're calling she the boss lady, for them dropping down there? Or
and the general.
Who ain't dropping down there? Who ain't dropping down there in prison?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? There's serious business here.
Yeah, it's serious business. So this is what I'm saying. This leader wants us, everybody, to be bowing down, and that's why they travel overseas with their PR team, because we're to make a goddess out of her, and she's none. We must see her as this, just like Trump's golden statue is what she's trying to erect in our mind. So the physical statue might not be here, but she's trying to erect this golden statue of herself in our mind. But Barbadians, you need to put your foot flat-footed on the ground and say, I will not bow to a golden statue. You will not do it to me mentally, emotionally, in absolutely no way. Tonight's show, guys, was much more about politics. What an education we had tonight. It was much more than talking about the crime and the money. This was about power. It's about who controls the power in Barbados, accountability, the future of Barbados. What a show we had tonight. Dr. Alleyne, what are your last comments before we go? Because it's 10:03. Believe it or not.
I just want to reiterate that the whole concept of charisma has been turned upside down by a few modern writers. And they ask us not to look at the physical characteristics of the person, and whether the person has an adequate presentation mode, whether the person has particular physical attributes or so on. Mm-hmm. But look, when you're talking about charismatic, so the leader who uses power to control decision making, the person does not allow the institutions to work to ensure that decisions are made through the best processes possible, but that the institutions are undermined and the authority for making decisions falls into that charismatic person. And the person who does those things, who can dominate and control all the decision making, is now considered a charismatic leader. And we have that in Barbados in the person of Miss Motley, who has made it very clear that all big works must come through her. And there is nothing in Barbados that we can't consider big, because everything goes through Miss Motley. And therefore, I'm saying to Barbadians that we need to be on our toes. We need to be collectively responsible for changing the direction. And whether, I know you right, people will not take any comfort in me saying these things, but I think there are enough people who are not right that we can at least begin to question some of the decisions made and see if we can bring some sense of democratic, participatory democracy, citizenship involvement, social partnerships, all of those things to function to effectively make Barbados a stronger nation, and that the level of begging and dependency can be driven out of Barbados for the next generation to improve, to benefit from whatever Barbados produces. I think those are my parting words.
Yes, excellent, excellent, please. And you take care of yourself. And we want you to know you can come and you can speak to us what's on your heart. Yeah. You have a place, and continue to write, continue to put your stuff all over social media, not just here, but everywhere that you can get it out. I think you need to get it out. Barbados needs your voice right now. Thank you so much, Dr. Alleyne.
Another one will be out tomorrow. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
Right. Yeah.
I look forward to them.
Okay,
Thank
dear.
you.
All right.
God bless you.
Bye.
Yes. Bye-bye. Yes, folks. Wow. Yes, I agree with you. It was an excellent show tonight. Yes, this man loves the country, and I agree. Let's continue to pray for him, and continue to speak well over his life, because I know what it takes to be doing this every week, and I know what they will try to do, right? But they will not survive. Mr. Thorne, wherever you are, if you agree that they don't want you to speak. Do the opposite of what you think they're doing. They will never win. Never. Don't let them have any power over you. You speak, you break out and speak in the name of the Lord. Amen. God bless you. Thank you, Corey Beckles, Attorney Corey Beckles, for an excellent presentation. Yes, a food for thought tonight, for real. And look forward to seeing you, God willing, on Wednesday night. Wednesday night, we are bringing back the young girls are going to be on again on Wednesday night. We have a special show for you. Then we also have, we're going to be going back to our pensions. And if we have Dr. Stephen Strickland would be on as well. Hopefully all is well, and he will be able to join us. The last 2 weeks we didn't have him because we had some other things that we were dealing with. But he's going to come back on to deal with pensions. And we also have Victor Lewis, whose internet was off for about a month. So he will be speaking to us about a lot of this construction that is happening all over, which I believe a lot of it is money laundering that is happening. He's going to be making a very strong presentation on Wednesday night as well. So while we have the young people, we'll give them the first 50 minutes of the show is for young people, and then we're going to go into the issues. So we're trying to work out and structure what we're doing, okay? So all the very, very best to everybody. Remember that we do have the bus, and it's very important. You can't just plan to be on the bus without you telling us. We do have the 3 locations now. I got a message. Thank you for that wonderful helper person there. You know who you are. We are going to pick up in Oistins and in Independence Square and Whole Town. So we will have the specific locations of where the bus is going to be, so that you can wait on the bus. You can come at those locations to wait on the bus. All right. So if you're Oistins will be first, and then Independence Square, and then Whole Town, and then we're off to Farley Hill. All right. Good. And I'm doing some Jamaican food. Miss McLean, you have any ackee there? You have an ackee there, Miss McLean? All right. God bless you. Love you all. Much blessings. Bye-bye. Thank you, Dave Weekes. Thank you.
The devil out here, so please be aware. The devil on the loose, the devil on the loose. So protect your soul, cause he's on a roll. The devil on the loose, the devil on the loose. So don't be a victim. keep resisting. Hold on to your children, keep protecting. And when the devil comes, well, you just have to say, yeah, yeah. Get out behind me, Satan. Get out behind me, Satan. Push back on the devil, push back on the devil. Don't get caught in this spell, cause you will not fare well. The thing to do is simply tell the devil, go to hell. The devil, the devil, the devil, watch the devil. He will not relent, cause he is hell-bent. The devil on the loose, the devil on the loose. This guy as well, you just cannot tell. It's the devil on the loose, the devil on the loose. So don't be a victim, keep resisting. Hold on to your children, keep protecting. And when the devil comes, well, you just have to say, yeah, yeah. Get out behind me, Satan. Get out behind me, Satan. Push back on the devil, push back on the devil. Don't get caught in this spell, cause you will not fare well. The thing to do is simply tell the devil, go to hell. The devil, the devil, the devil, watch the devil, the devil, the devil, the devil. All around you temptation, look around you temptation. All around you temptation, look around you temptation. Just say, yeah, yeah. Get out behind me, Satan. Get out behind me, Satan. Push back on the devil, push back on the devil. The thing to do is simply tell the devil, go to hell. Get out behind me, Satan. Get out behind me, Satan. Push back on the devil, push back on the devil. Don't get caught in this spell, cause you will not fare well.